What's going on, everyone? This is the Go Long Podcast. Week 2 in the NFL, finishing up here Sunday night, September 18th. It's about 9:16 Eastern Standard Time. We got Packers Bears on in the background and hitting record to wrap up the games, as we will do every week here, brought to you by our friends at Fatty Beer Company. And Jim, we're going to be there hopefully Tuesday. We haven't figured out a time, but we'll figure that out, put it up on the site, let people know. But yeah, they're holy cow. Where in the hell did we start that? I feel like we kind of say this every week, but there were some unbelievable games, some unbelievable outcomes that we're still wrapping our heads around to understand. I'm down here in Pittsburgh, watched a little Steelers-Patriots. It wasn't quite as visually, appetizing, entertaining as say Miami-Baltimore. But hey, we're making do. There was some stuff to take away from that game. Jim, how was your Sunday? How did you take in this action?
When you were telling me you were at that game, I felt for you a little bit because I felt like you were texting me and I'm watching Red Zone and I was thinking to myself, I love my setup so much more than what you were doing. Like being at one game with two backup quarterbacks basically going head to head. And, obviously the history of those two head coaches, two of the best in the history of football with two average quarterbacks. And that's what that game looks like. But what was making me laugh was you were texting me during the game like this, this is a rough game to watch. And they were scoring more points than Brady and Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to tell you, we're going to get into every game, but I was on to some things this year pre-season that are initially looking interesting. Long season, though. You put out a nice tweet today about, I picked the Jaguars to win the division in our little.
Yeah.
And I said it's a long year, but if they do win that division, we will have to let the subscribers know when we'll be at Fatty Beer to celebrate. And yes, that'll be on me.
Well, they don't call you Nostradamus for nothing. Predicting the New York Giants.
Oh, you know what?
Jacksonville Jaguars.
I'm going to take that for today because this was a good weekend. The 49ers was one of my best plays of the weekend. They came through for me. So, and guess who quarterbacked?
Jimmy Garoppolo, which you called.
Now, I didn't predict
last week.
I didn't predict injury. I don't ever want to see that. I don't want to see that.
But you knew he'd see the field. You got a feeling.
I said he wouldn't be on. If you're on the team and you're the number 2, you're going to get on the field at some point, any position.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not going to complain about watching football in a press box. It was great to be at a game. I'll say that. It was awesome because you just get it is a different perspective sitting up in a press box, seeing the whole field, the atmosphere, all that stuff. And then really most of all, getting down to the locker rooms. I was in both locker rooms after the game, the Steelers for a little bit and then the Patriots. And we'll have all the coverage up on the site. Let's start with that game. The game that everybody's talking about, 17-14, New England. No. Okay, here's what I'll say. It says a lot about Pittsburgh as well, right? I mean, between the quarterback play, the play calling, the offensive line, Najee Harris not really looking that. It was kind of a concoction of all these different toxins, I think I wrote, where, I don't know if it's one specific thing, but they've got some issues. And, the players are pretty honest in the locker room. It sounds like they kind of want to go up tempo more often. It is very plotting in their approach with how the game puts along. It was difficult. And yeah, so get that out of the way. Mac Jones, the touchdown, the 44-yarder to Nelson Aguilar. I mean, he could have been an interception, right? He mossed it out of the DB's hands.
That's one of the best plays I've seen Aguilar make.
Not a play you really see out of him, right?
No, he's
not
very
a physical specimen.
He's very usually just running away from people but usually he'll drop it. He's always had that history too. But that was a big boy catch. Hey, I watched the Red Zone and I was laughing, because we were texting. I was like, I'm not getting a lot of Steeler-Patriot updates right now. There must not be a lot going on. Then they showed Trubisky's interception. And I wrote down right away, I said, why? Like, how did he not? It was when he forced that over the middle, that little like post. Guy was undercut. The guy was under the route the whole time. There was no way he should have ever. And this is a guy that I've said, let's see what he has. And then what did I say to you right away? You can't bench the captain of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You did say that. Well, do they have
I'm not saying
17 other captains? They could probably lean into all these teams have about a dozen or so captains.
Each week you could blame the
Rex. Rex had the right idea, right? Rotating captains. Throw IK Anapoli out there against the Jets.
And that will officially close the book on our captain talk. We say it I'm done with it, but that's is why we don't talk about captains. How is Mitch Trubisky? And I don't want this to be a bash Mitch, because it's not all on him. That offense looks exactly the same as it did last year. I bashed it nonstop last year. I bashed it last week. I'll bash it again. That running back's not special enough. He's a good running back, in my opinion. He's a hard run. He runs hard, but he's not a different, and we're going to talk about this, but I always talk about, do you put fear in the other coordinator's heart? Are you keeping that coordinator up at night? Najee Harris isn't, like Christian McCaffrey, he keeps you up at night. Alvin Kamara, he keeps you up at night. Harris is a hard runner. I mean, you got to stop. I mean, obviously he's a good football player, but I just don't think he's a game changer, difference maker.
I can't recall, I'm trying to look it up as we're talking here. Najee Harris, I don't know if he was ever clocked in the 40 officially. I don't think he ran it at the combine. I can't really remember the pro day what it was. I've heard around the league.
Either. Now when you say that.
Even before the draft, there were a lot of grumblings. It wasn't too loud, but people around the NFL, I don't know if you heard the same thing, like some concern about his speed. That this guy is just slow, slow for the pro game in general. And you kind of see it where, yes, the volume was high last year. Yes, he's tough as hell. There was a play, the play that got Pittsburgh going was he just shucked a dude right off him, then bashed into another guy. It was like the best 8-yard gain you'll see in your life. He's got all that, but there's some pop missing from his game, right? He carried the ball 15 times. His longest run was 8 yards. He had a reception for 8 in there as well. I mean, he can catch the ball a little bit, but there's just not a lot of second level, third level to his game. There's not a lot of separation.
No.
And if you're the Steelers with the way, if you're going to play that game, if you're not going to go tempo, if you're going to huddle and take it slow and run on first down, then you need a back who's a game breaker that has that element to an extent, right?
What I'm noticing too with Pittsburgh, and see how you feel because you paid attention to it more, but Deontay Johnson is making more spectacular plays than I always thought he was too inconsistent, not reliable enough. I see I see where he has, it's changing. You can count on him, and he's making some special plays. And the other thing that I noticed with Trubisky, he always did this at North Carolina. He did it when we worked him out. I've seen it with the Bears, and I see it now. He does not keep receivers in play and let them make plays on the ball, kind of down the sideline. I'm telling you, I've seen this with him. The ball sails on him and goes out of bounds. He doesn't let his receivers make plays, and that's an underrated. You don't have to be perfect all the time. You're like Aguilar. Let Aguilar make the play, but when you throw it out of bounds, it's just a gut punch to you. It's deflating as an offense. Like, let the guy make a play, and I saw that again today. So I would be concerned with Trubisky, and we talked about this weeks ago. They know when the time's right for Pickett. They have a plan.
I guess to the extreme. I don't want to jump into Miami quite yet, but that's what Tua Tagovailoa does so well is he gives his receiver a chance to make a play. I mean, you see it. It's in stride. Yeah. It's accurate. All right, so Pittsburgh has a lot to figure. But also, if TJ Watt plays, they win the game. If TJ Watt's in the game, they win.
Once again, I did want to say that. Do nothing, do nothing, do nothing. Have a chance to win. Like it's hard to believe.
I mean, Mac Jones was not sacked. He was hardly pressured on 35 dropbacks, 35 attempts. He had all the time in the world to just pat the ball, scan the field, make a play. And also, I mean, TJ Watt late in games. I mean, this is exactly what Cam Hayward pointed out when he was talking about TJ in our story. Like, everybody else is tired on the field. Everybody else is whipped. Everybody else is gassed. And yet his stamina is so insane with all the workouts that he does with JJ Watt and, the legendary stuff. He's fresh. That's why he makes the play at the end of the game. And you could see New England just grind this game down. I mean, that last drive, let me just see if I can pull it up here on the fly. I mean, that in the fourth quarter, when Pittsburgh needed to make a play, they just could not do it. It was, 13 play drive to end the game. 6 minutes, 33 seconds. It just, that's what you get without TJ Watt on the field. It's going to be a different game defensively. Look at Dallas with Micah Parsons. Just his presence alone.
Tyler, that guy, Micah Parsons. We'll get there, but okay.
Stud. All right, there is some good to take for New England, I think. Just when you hear these guys talk, I mean, this, if you really think about it, that loss to Miami was ugly, as we talked about last week. 27, it could have been 47. On the heels of Joe Judge, Matt Patricia being entrusted with a second-year quarterback. On the heels of Bill Belichick getting blasted by the Bills twice last year. I don't think it's oversimplification or premature for all of us to start penning that obituary and wondering, all right, are the Patriots done? Are they finished? Are they going to be the worst team in the division? Because all the signs are there. I think just the fact that they won a game, it kind of gave this team the confidence it needed to buy into what Belichick is always telling. Because if you're a coach and you're going to preach do your job and accountability and all this stuff that has worked, and you're losing games, you're going to start losing guys. You're going to start losing trust. And then it's really going to go downhill fast. Just the fact that they won. Boy, Matthew Judon, Kendrick Bourne, Matthew Slater. I caught up with a lot of guys in the locker room. Cole Strange, who was amazing on Cam Hayward. I mean, he shut down Cam Hayward one-on-one. Oh, they're feeling it. They're a confident bunch again.
Cole Strange. That's who I'm going to evaluate this week. I didn't know anything about, and I love that's Tennessee, Chattanooga. Yeah. That's my old stomping ground, scouting in the Southeast. I'm going to dive into him. I want to see what he's all about. I'm glad you just brought his name up. But to your point, what you just said about the Patriots getting that win, here's the funniest thing when we talk about is the media or in front offices too. You win 17-14, it looks gross, blah, blah, blah. It is the greatest feeling in the world on that flight. You wouldn't know anything about that game. Those players work so hard. Coaches work, everybody works so hard. And you know what? The celebration that you have, and you deserve that. And then you can worry about it tomorrow and start over analyzing tomorrow. But it goes such a long way to get that win. Like for the whole week. It'll last the whole week. That it's just a good feeling. So,
especially if you're a head coach who's banging the drum, day in, day out. It's different in New England. We all know it's different. That there's not a lot of players on this team that were on the last Super Bowl team. So you're getting turnover, you're getting younger players. It's a different quarterback.
Right.
It's gonna get harder and harder for Bill Belichick to really get guys to buy into his hard driving style. The more you lose the Matthew Slaters and guys who have been there and done that. So just to win, I feel like their season is almost resuscitated in a way. They're not dead.
Well, maybe he'll get a 10-year extension like Saban did and 20 year, make it 20.
Hey, you know what? He can He can definitely coach from the grave. One day he could pull that off. I think it's good enough.
I see him. I don't think we're going to hear a lot from him. I see him going to Nantucket.
Yeah. By the way, I look up and the Packers are pounding the Bears now, 17-7, and they just got the ball back. So
another Monas special.
Jim's on fire.
I'm kind of listen. I am gonna when I'm on fire, I'm gonna brag about it, because guess what? Just like the NFL's week to week, so are my picks. Next week could be 0 for 3. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, don't listen to my fatty locks. They were pretty rough this week. Pretty rough.
Hey, week to week. That's why you got to feel good when you get them.
Any thoughts on Mac Jones before we move off of this?
Looks the same to me. He looks the same to me as he did at Alabama. Looks the same every time I see him. Blah.
Is that good or bad? Blah.
Blah. Yeah.
Blah.
Not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see it. You have to really. I'm telling you, it's why I love the red zone so much. To watch Trubisky and Mac Jones, and then the next highlight is Lamar, or the next highlight is, and you're like, wait, these guys aren't on the same. They're not on the same playing field right now. Like what we watched Thursday night with Herbert and Mahomes. Come on, and think about what you watched today. Now, you really think those teams have any shot beating those quarterbacks? They're not on the same, not even close.
It's such a good point. I totally agree. It's good to get that cross-section view of the quarterback play. Where he has to win is with his brain, and we knew that going in. For those listening, Jim just is disgusted. You don't want to hear that BS.
I don't, because I get it. I could just picture those meetings, and I could picture being in those draft meetings, like, oh, he can learn the offense, and I'm like, oh.
What's crazy though is Kyle Shanahan probably wishes he would have drafted Mac Jones at this point.
Okay,
right?
We're gonna get. There's so much to go. Okay, we gotta get. There's a lot to. This 49er game is. We gotta talk about it.
All right, well let's keep it trucking through the 1 o'clock.
Yeah, let's go through the 1 o'clock. So we got Miami next.
Yeah, Miami 42, Baltimore 38.
This is what I can tell you about this Miami.
Unbelievable.
It looked, when you see the Bateman touchdown from Lamar, he just runs away from Howard, right? Couldn't catch him. And Lamar throwing strikes, looking unstoppable, like we always talk about. And I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't really pay attention a lot to the comeback because I was kind of running around. I had red zone on, but I was running around, so I couldn't really pay attention to how they fell apart. So I'm going to watch that film, but there's no way I saw any indication. That game that looked like the Baltimore I thought I was going to see all year. I was like, okay, here they are. This defense is healthy. Lamar is Lamar. These young receivers look good. And then all of a sudden, those Hill, Waddle, good luck. That is the new official nightmare for every D coordinator. I don't know what you do. And Mike McDaniel, you know what? I know you and I are pulling for him a little bit. His style different. And, a coach I always pumped up for the Saints, I never gets in interviews, that is Pete Carmichael, right? He's still there, the longtime offensive coordinator. Smaller in stature, quiet, very cerebral. When I see Mike, I think that would be how Pete Carmichael would be as a head coach as well. Like, it's so opposite of Dan Campbell. And I'm not saying that doesn't work either. It's just sometimes you can't picture the players listening to these guys that don't look like them or speak like them. And Mike McDaniel, I love listening to him. And he's backing it up right now. He has supported Tua from the start. He is giving him every opportunity. He's putting him in great situations. And Tua was not playing very well today. And that's why I can't wait to watch the tape of that game, because that first half, Tua was terrible. I would have thought that Miami was like, wow, we don't have the guy. So I need to see what happened. Yeah, he was bad.
He heated up. It was like watching.
I can't wait to see it. Yeah.
Old school NBA Jam right? There's just fire coming off of the
Yeah.
football.
Just run to the corner, shoot.
He was on fire. I have to watch the game in full myself too. I'm kind of catching up, watching the highlights, the condensed version of the game best I can, but before we hit record. But this was like old school, high school, college Tua, where he's putting up juggernaut numbers. There's players wide open, and he's hitting them, and they're blowing the competition away. I mean, and that's the combination that we've talked about and why it was so perfect. You've got an offensive play caller, Mike McDaniel, who's going to use that speed in all of the best possible ways to get Tyreek Hill wide open, get Jalen Waddle wide open, and you've got a quarterback who's going to be accurate, hit him in stride. They were open last week against New England. Tua just missed some throws. That could have been, a worse outcome than 20-7. This time they played a defense that was a little dinged by injury, had a couple blown coverages, and just ruptured that game wide open. It was unbelievable. I mean, they outscored them 28-3 in the fourth quarter. Tua finished 36-50 for 469 yards, 6 touchdowns. He was only sacked once. It's maybe the best quarter for a quarterback in an offense we've seen in a long, long time. What they did in the fourth was statistically insane.
I think it's important, and we're doing this on my Study the Stats, every week on the column with quarterbacks. And are they, we're trying to feel like, are they good enough or not? I think with Tua, I think the expectation needs to be forget where he was drafted, forget him trying to be Mahomes or Josh Allen. He's not. But can he be Stafford, Kirk Cousins, where that's your guy. That's going to be your star. Hey, we can win with this quarterback. Yeah. And it can work with the coach and the whole combination coming together. I think if that's the expectation for Tua and the stop trying to make him into this, top elite quarterback in the history, like of just Mahomes and Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers. Come on. Those guys, you're talking about 3 guys. Nobody really can compare to those 3 guys throwing the football. So I guess my point is, I can't wait to we're just going to keep, because I still don't know. We're going to keep evaluating Tua, but is there a more fun team to evaluate right now than Miami?
I think the fact that he just isn't afraid to throw it down the field is encouraging more than anything.
Tua's tough.
Even the touchdown, Waddle was to win the game at the end, the 6th of 6 touchdowns. And Waddle was covered a little bit, but Tua was on the move. He let it rip. It's the throw you need to see out of a young quarterback, and the throw that he's been afraid to make. And, we've said it before on here, but the offense with Brian Flores and Brian Flores' staff was terrible. He did not have the support of that coaching staff. It was about the worst situation you could drop for a young quarterback, and that stuff matters. I mean, it does. Coaching. And they went out and they aggressively got him Tyreek Hill. They got him weapons. They added Terron Armstead. It's 2 games, right? Two of 17, but all signs point to Miami heading the right direction with Tua.
That's it. The successful coaches, they can go to different places. Like Andy Reid can go from Philly to KC because he has he's going to set things up the same way. And that's what the players count on. They want structure and they want to believe in the coach. And I can't imagine how bad things must have been in Miami. We might not even really ever know, but it had to be rough. Like, because this is a complete turnaround. They bought into McDaniel. He says all the right things. So, and the other example is Jacksonville. When you another guy that has done it, look what happens. He's done it in Philly. He goes to Jacksonville. He's setting things up the exact same way, and this is how they structure it. And man, it just the players will thrive when they like I said, they need structure. They want it. They want to win. Well, they want to get paid. But they go hand in hand a lot. So anyway, I love that these new coaches are showing you that it does matter.
Perfectly said. The next question with the Miami Dolphins is easy. I mean, can they beat the Buffalo Bills on the 25th, this coming Sunday, at home? You're nodding your head yes.
Yes. But you have to remember, if you ask me that about any NFL game, can somebody beat somebody? My answer is going to be yes. The NFL. So you got to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to answer. You can
Paraphrasing on my part.
Yes.
Will they beat the Bills?
Wait, no, I'm not ready for that game yet.
Okay.
I can't do that. Because I got to get through, because we got a big Monday nighter tomorrow.
True.
2 big games.
All right, there'll be time for those. Let's
go. Hey, wait. All right, let's go to this next game. I'm pumped. We got to talk about the Jets-Browns.
You're pumped for Jets-Browns?
I wrote about it because I told everybody nobody wanted to watch this game. And I was like, I do. And I said, I am taking the Jets.
Flacco Brissett lived up to the hype.
You want to talk about watching two guys that look so similar. They can't move. They look like they just want to play. They're playing football because they can. They're wanted. Two great backup quarterbacks. I don't want to knock them. They are two outstanding backup quarterbacks. And Flacco obviously has been a Super Bowl champ, but the Jets have talent. The Jets have talent on offense.
Ooh, Garrett Wilson.
That's who I want to talk about.
What did you see in Garrett Wilson? Because I didn't catch much of this game.
So last week we talked about that. I can't believe that Chase and Jefferson played together at LSU. These Ohio State receivers. Mm-hmm. The Saints have a lot. These guys are.
What about his game really pops? Like, what's different?
Route running. These guys are great route runners. They're uncoverable. When you can run routes like that, and then and then they have natural hands, explosion speed. But the first thing, the route running, forget. And you could talk. Gilmore talked about it. Yeah. It's because the corners have to know. They have to have some idea, because it's impossible to play corner to cover these guys. It's so hard, and you're looking for like Gilmore said, anything to give you an edge, because you have no chance against the top ones. You're not covering them.
It's so true. I mean, there's no hand fighting. There's no hand checking. There's really no physicality allowed until the ball is literally there. So you need to anticipate. You need to guess at times, and your technique has to be flawless. So that's why you see this rush on receivers to try to do everything you can to find one of these bullies, whether it's a physical bully like a DK Metcalf, an AJ Brown, Debo, Justin Jefferson, do whatever you want. But this kind of bullies, when you're that good of a route runner, like Cooper Kupp is obviously in a league of his own, but it's that the route running, we can complain about flags getting thrown all the time and be curmudgeon-y with all that, but also receivers just run insanely better routes today than they did back in the 90s, right? So when you combine those two factors, you get the offense you see today.
But I will say for that game, like I said, Jets have that Elijah Moore, the running backs for the Jets. They have but once again, I don't know about the head coach. When I say I don't know, he's too young. I still don't know. And they don't have a quarterback. I mean, we sit here and bang our head about it's like talking about the Jets is worthless until we know anything about Zach Wilson and the head coach. And the Browns, that Browns team, that's a bad loss. I mean, to get that kind of production from Brissett and for their defense, who I think they have good players on defense, to not be able to hold up against Flacco, I would say that's a disappointing I would say that's a bad loss for Cleveland. Just based on the fact that how they were scoring with Brissett. That running game they have, I mean, we talk about it every week, but it's just dominant. But anyway,
It's a bad loss. They're trying to survive
Bad
until they
loss
can
for
get
Cleveland.
Deshaun Watson back. And
Yeah. All right.
Jacksonville Jaguars, Jim.
This game, I am pumped.
24-0. Indy goes from Luck to Brissett to Phillip Rivers to Carson Wentz to Matt Ryan, all to return to Jacksonville and get shut out. It's got to be about as demoralizing as it gets if you're Jim Irsay, if you're Chris Ballard, if you're Frank Reich. I mean, you're constantly trying, but the thing is, this is where you can get the criticism for teams contending, and I'm all for it, right? If it's coming from a place of logic, and they have been knocking at the door. I mean, they looked really good at the end of last season. The year before, I mean, they took the Bills to the wire, and the Bills went to the AFC Championship game. So I get it, but was Matt Ryan the right choice at quarterback? If you're trying to win now, 37-year-old Matt Ryan, he looked worse than Carson Wentz did in Jacksonville a year ago, which was very difficult to pull off.
So
what did you see in this one?
Since you get who's the guy that does your artwork for your stories?
Oh baby, John Daly, a Brave Buffalo, as good as it gets.
The Gilmore, I love it, on the island.
Yeah,
I picture you need to have him do one on an island with Frank Reich, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, but it's not an island. It's Jacksonville, and they're stuck in that. Jim Irsay, I think, is going to make them all stay in Jacksonville forever, and he'll never want to see that city again. He's not going to see Frank Reich. Indy can't go to Jacksonville anymore. Nothing good happens. But credit to what I did take away from that game. Wait till you see the one run Jonathan Taylor has.
Really,
he runs over the safety, Rayshawn Jenkins, who's a good player. Yeah. He ran him over. I mean, nasty run. But what a difference. Urban Meyer, what a difference. I mean, I know we talked about him at nauseum for years. I feel like since I met you. And I'm just so happy to at least see Trevor Lawrence get an opportunity to be coached and show that there's something there. I'm still, what he did today was precision. They were fast. They were confident. I like the way they looked as a team. They looked like they were like, we're better than this team. Yeah. The Colts, I don't see the weapons for the Colts on the outside.
Well, Pittman didn't play, and then beyond him, they haven't had much. I mean, they drafted Alec Pierce and
Pittman
Harris
is more
Campbell
of a,
hasn't given him anything.
He's not. It's definitely interesting. Like to see that Indy go through this in a division that they were kind of gifted because of their history and the lack of talent with the other teams. These teams are fighting. Like they are. We keep talking about it. Coaches matter. Peterson has that team at least structured correctly. I mean, they're showing up. I mean, think about how bad that team looked last year. Like just the look of the team.
That's why.
And now the Nebraska AD's reaching out to Urban Meyer.
Oh,
man, get out of here. Seriously, get out of here with that. That's garbage.
I mean, you could just sense that players had hope in Jacksonville. Was down there leading up to their opener.
When we talked to Manhurts, I mean,
they were genuinely excited about the roster. I mean, I think it's twofold. Like they look around the locker room and they see talent. I mean, this is a team that spent like crazy, and they were mocked for it. But then look, Christian Kirk catches a pair of touchdowns against Indy. He looks really good, and defensively, you've got some studs. Foye, Olakon, Shaq Griffin, Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker.
Shaq Griffin.
Devin Lloyd. I mean, that was a steal. You've got legit players now that you've drafted, that you've signed. And then I think so that's part of it. I mean, they just look around and it's like, oh, we've got there's talent here. This isn't like we're not just gutting the roster for a bunch of nobodies, but then it's like actual competence that you're hitting on. It's like the practice, like just having a normal day of work, right? Normal meetings, normal practices, a normal game plan. Not this college coach dropped into an NFL world that thinks he can literally awesome. Just kick players and
awesome to see.
Hang back at the bar and feel up, co-eds. It's general competence organization from a Super Bowl winner is going a really long way already. So Evan Ingram caught 7 balls. Evan Ingram. Yeah, another guy in the division. I'm with you. They could win the division. Look around.
Evan Ingram, like they have good players. It's so good to see like Robinson, the running back. How can't you love James Robinson? He comes back today, and he didn't he was pounding away. He's not going to ever break. But that combo they have now is solid, and I just once again. It's going to be so fun to keep evaluating Trevor Lawrence, because now I think what we're seeing from that crop from last year of quarterbacks, I think he officially has the lead, because Zach Wilson obviously hasn't played. Trey Lance hasn't played. Davis Mills and Justin Fields right now but I think Trevor Lawrence has enough more consistent good games that I've seen. Now he's playing with a real coach. And so I think if I'm Jacksonville right now, I know it's easy to say today, they just beat the Colts. So let's not get carried away. But hey, any sign of life when you're fighting from the bottom like they have been. I mean, basically because of the coach they had. Trent Baalke, underrated GM. I've always said that.
He's really good at projecting size, speed, all that if a guy runs a good 40 and has a good vertical, he knows how that fits at a certain position and projects to the NFL, right? I mean, in San Francisco, he was so good.
That's what I was just going to say. I studied, when you're in the, just like you study other writers and, guys' styles, he was a guy that always caught my eye. I was like, they're drafting really well in San Fran. He's doing some good things. And I'm seeing their talent right now in Jacksonville. They if that quarterback keeps taking the steps, they're going to be real. They're going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's their division. If Trevor Lawrence is as good as everybody thinks he can be, they are the best team in that division because of him.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to learn a lot this coming weekend. They travel to LA to play the Chargers. I mean, if they fly across the country,
week to week league.
I know it is.
But right now, I'm just happy to see that Trevor Lawrence, and we talk quarterback heavy, and at least he's getting a chance now. So,
well said. And everybody, be sure to follow Jim's weekly column. He's watching every snap of every game. And for those who are just listening for the first time on that it's the absolute best rating system that I've heard of, Jim. Hey, it beats QBR, it beats QB rating. You're watching every snap and throw, run. If it's a good play, it's a +1. If it's a bad play, it's a -1. If it's a really good play, it's +2. Mm-hmm. Really bad, it's -2. Yep. You take that total and then divide it by
all their attempts,
number of pass attempts and run attempts.
Correct.
And that's how you get your number.
And I've done this now for this is probably year 4, where I've really it's fine tuned to the point where I trust it. And I don't have the time this year, just with other jobs and life in general. Like Tom Brady said, 45 and whatever.
Got a lot of shit going on.
Yeah. Well, I'm 47. And so there's more shit, but, I'm just going to evaluate. I want to spend time on, like I said, not Mahomes and those guys anymore. We're good on those guys. Not Stafford, not Matt Ryan, not doing that. But the Tuas, the Hurts, the Trevor Lawrences, the Justin Fields, Trey Lance, he's a magician. We're never going to be able to evaluate him. But that's what I want to spend time on, because I'm really excited to see, as we follow this all year, especially just talking about it with you, to see who kind of, is it going to be Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville? And then, hey, we'll be like, yep, we were tracking that. We said, hang on. Is it going to be Tua? Hey, we've been tracking them. We weren't writing these guys off.
Right.
So
it's indicative of the totality of their game. Quarterback rating doesn't tell you anything about the guy as a runner.
Quarterback rating's like looking at passing yards per game or something. Just get it out of your life. It doesn't equate to anything.
QBR gets a little skewed with the
QBR
stuff.
I like, but I agree with you too. It gets skewed because I've studied that enough to know what they factor in, and they do a lot that, to me, if you just want to study a quarterback, just tell me if he can make plays, because that's why I have to factor in a run. Like guys like, you have to be a playmaker. That's part of being a quarterback. So,
well, they're neat. I like it because you've scouted for 2 decades. I mean, you're applying that eye to. It's not just thrown into a math equation. It's like you're taking into account everything that went into that specific play, and it could be other factors that a math equation isn't going to take into account.
So, just at your game today, just for an example, Aguilar's touchdown catch, I would give Mac Jones 1 point for that. It was, he gave him a chance to make the play. It wasn't a great throw, but it was a good throw. He gave him a chance. That's a 1-pointer. Trubisky's interception that we talked about, that's a -2. That's a horrible interception. Like, there was no excuse for that. You were getting ready to get points. That's a -2. So that's how I do it. You would have done that too. You would agree with those. You could do that. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, though, that's where I trust you more than me looking at these plays, because at this, you could look at that Mac Jones touchdown and be like, well, it could have been intercepted. But that's an element of his game he needed to get better at. He needs to take more chances. He needs to throw it up, give his guy a chance. Yeah. So it's a great point.
Good throw. It was good enough. It was fine. It was good. I mean, giving your guy a chance. I'm not going to penalize you for that. You're going to get a point for that. But anyway.
A seamless transition to one of your favorite quarterbacks to grade. That'd be Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions. A 4-touchdown day, no picks, a 191-yard day on the ground for Detroit. And everybody should keep an eye out for a story on the Detroit Lions down those lines very soon. Had a good time around this bunch. 36-27, they won it. It didn't really feel that close. They really took it to the Commanders. And Detroit, good team. I think they're good.
I can go good. I mean, I can go good. That game, once again, these 2 quarterbacks, I want no part of either one of them.
How dare you?
I know. And I used to love Carson. I don't want that. Washington team is so talented on offense. Their skill position players are so fun to watch. He is such a nightmare.
They do have, but you really think about it, they've got 3 legit receivers who have some dynamic skill sets between Samuel, McLaurin, and Dotson.
Throwing that Antonio Gibson, that guy, I love that guy. Anyway, and Logan Thomas again. That's I'll still never. I wish I could. I always want to get that story how he never was given more of a chance in Buffalo. I don't understand that one.
Caught a touchdown.
But he always does. He's so good. But anyway, I don't.
Anything from this game? Anything pop?
Just that I just still don't think either quarterback is good enough.
Yeah.
I can't. This Detroit thing. I'm going to end up watching them more than I want to, because you have me. I know. I'm fascinated.
I'm really excited for Detroit, Minnesota.
The way Detroit ran the ball today, we know this. That'll keep you in every game. I still don't know if they can play defense at all.
They're down 3 starters on the offensive line too. Their line was decimated, and they still ran for almost 200 yards.
I just don't know if their defense is any good. Like, don't
Yeah,
I don't like I want to like we'll study the stats. I got to see those sacks Hutchinson had, but Carson Wentz, he's a sack machine. He is so bad in the pocket.
Yeah,
Anyway, I'm
Hutchinson
going
had the
away
3
from that game.
sacks, but
Yeah,
they've got some issues over there.
we'll see. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I want to see more on the defensive side, but to see if they're really legit to like not legit, but like you're talking about, they're going to be a playoff team to beat Minnesota. I don't know how you got. Oh, you're going to have to get insane pressure on Kirk Cousins. It's that simple.
All right, let's rapid fire like
Yeah,
3
let's
or 4
rapid
of these
fire.
games, and then there's definitely one game I want to get your opinion on. I don't even know if you watched this one closely, but all right, real quick, San Francisco 27, Seattle 7. Trey Lance goes down, season ending. Jimmy Garoppolo comes in. They ran the ball 45 times. So yeah, ran it about twice as much as they threw it, pounded them. Anything to take away from this game?
Yes. That it was a good pick by me, and I'm I just want to evaluate Trey Lance. I feel like I'll never be able to evaluate him.
I'll say that Trey Lance may or may not be my fantasy quarterback in one league, and Ed's Red Rockets still found a way to get the wins. So that just speaks to fantasy managerial prowess, if not, fatty lock expertise.
Hey, I picked Seattle to be the worst team in the NFL this year on it in your column, so I'm not surprised.
The Rams hang on for dear life against the Falcons, 31-27. Crazy game. Atlanta had a blocked punt, and they kind of got some life. The Cooper Kupp fumbles. Atlanta had a chance going in to win, and the Rams had to get a stop. I don't know. I mean, my takeaway is more on the Rams. Like, ugh. I mean, they've got some problems still. Stafford threw a couple picks, Kupp fumbling. To even let Atlanta have any shot in this game was odd.
I saw they were down 14-0 and they kicked a field goal, and it was 14-3. And I was thinking, this coach, like, get out of my life. Like, you really think 3 points against the Rams right now matters when you have Marcus Mariota but you know what? Then they make the comeback. So maybe I'm wrong on that. But my thinking was, get out of my life, this Arthur Smith guy. Like, you can't.
Here's why he can get out of our life. In back-to-back games, Kyle Pitts catches 2 passes for 19 yards.
Yeah, I'm still a little bitter on him from week 1 because I had Atlanta money line against the Saints. But
why aren't they getting the ball to their best player, though?
I can't let that get personal. What a wasted pick. Talked about that. Bad pick if you don't have the quarterback. Did it before.
They could have taken Justin Fields. We'll see how he pans out in Chicago, but
it's still, to me, worth the gamble.
Yeah. Give yourself a little direction.
You can't stop trying to find one.
That's a good point.
You can't stop. All right. So what do we got? What are the other games? Wait, we didn't talk about. All right, go ahead. You had there's one we got to talk about.
Tampa 20.
Yes.
New Orleans 10.
Wild.
Yeah. Jameis did Jameis things. 3 interceptions, 6 sacks.
He's close to getting on the get out of my life list too.
Yeah, it was a rough one for Jameis Winston. I think that oh gosh, who was it on their defense? I think it was Devin White. Afterwards, right on the field with the sideline reporter said, "Yeah, we knew that Jameis was going to throw up some picks, and we just had to take advantage." So I think he even referenced the 30 interception seasons. Yeah, I thought that Sean Payton did a lot of good. It seemed like he was getting a lot of those problems out of Jameis Winston, and Jameis was doing a lot himself, but it's in there somewhere. That demon resurfaced.
No. There was a reason Coach Payton hey guys, gave my all. Mickey Loomis, thank you for everything. I'm gonna try this next stop. I'm gonna try this quarterback thing somewhere else because we're not doing it here. He would have stayed if he believed in the quarterback. He definitely would have. It's what you're looking for. But hey, from that game though, Mike Evans, and I talked about this before on our show, but when we had that dinner with him at the Chop House in Buffalo, before that draft that year, and he and Rob Moore kind of got into it a little bit. It was like kind of like, man, I wouldn't be surprised if something went down. And then like a week later, a video came out of Mike Evans just throwing down on South Beach, like jumping over cars. I remember Whaley and I were like, I don't know if there's ever, this for a receiver. I don't know. This guy's a loose cannon. Like, and he still does it every year in Tampa. Yeah. But you know what's great about him? He's one of the best guys in the community. He's just a loose cannon. I mean, he just has some type of thing in him that he can't control it. But man,
I loved it in this case. Like it, right? Lattimore was getting into Brady's face.
Oh, Lattimore was getting into it with Bruce Arians on the sideline. Which, yeah, wait till you see the whole scenario. It's fascinating. I don't like that. I don't like that whole Tampa setup. I told you this before. This whole thing's like seeing Arians and Jason Light, the GM, are right there on the field. Like that's, I don't know, man. How many ex-head coaches are standing next to the new guy? Like, you don't see that. You just don't see it. What if?
It's strange.
Can you imagine like Mike Tomlin stepping down in the first, the first game or it's an away game and he's sitting there on the sideline. I don't know. Todd Bowles, that's whatever. Everybody has their own. I know they go way back with their Temple days and Bruce Arians. I know they're tight, so I'm sure that it's okay, but I just think it's strange.
It's
Lattimore,
nuts.
He's nasty too. Lattimore and Mike Evans can't play against each other. They can't stop.
It's great for the game, though. I love it. And then
it is great for the game. I agree with you. Give me those two. Michael Thomas made a catch on the sideline today it's just phenomenal, and he can't run at all. He's not fast, but he is nuts, though. He is so precision with his routes and his hands, and he's so tough.
All right, let's whip through these last ones. Giants 19, Panthers 16. The Giants are 2-0. Did not see any of this myself, covering the exploits of Mac Jones and Mitchell Trubisky. So fill me in, Jim. Are the Giants destined for glory?
No. I don't know what's going on with those two teams. The Carolina team, I'll say, watching those two teams, though, like early, Carolina's just fumbling the ball. The Giants are only getting 3 points on it. And I'm like, ugh. Like, you know how if you get a gift, you got to score 7. But I don't think you could have hope with either quarterback. Mayfield looks so limited.
Yeah, that's probably one of my biggest disappointments so far this season. Baker Mayfield and
all right,
Carolina.
Here's my overreaction. We can play this back in a couple weeks. Here's going to be my overreaction. I think Sam Darnold's better than Mayfield.
Whoa.
I think Sam Darnold did more special things. Sam Darnold has Mahomes, Josh Allen type plays.
Are we talking about the same Sam Darnold here?
I said no. I'm saying he's better than Baker Mayfield.
So you really think that Baker stinks? You must.
His limitations are driving me crazy.
There was a play at the catch where he like scrambled right, and just seeing him trying to run away from defenders. Like you said, if you're on red zone and you're flipping around and you have that cross section, you can compare Baker Mayfield to Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or
that's not even
so
right.
many of these guys.
Compare him to Darnold or Trubisky. Compare him to guys that
Lawrence,
Trevor Lawrence, guys that can get, don't compare it like, Lamar and Kyler, whatever. They're special, but just be able to do something.
But how much of it too? Yeah, I mean, I get it. Maybe I'm an apologist because I like a lot about Baker Mayfield. I'll admit that. But
Tyler,
I think how is Ben McAdoo an offensive coordinator though? Seriously, how? He's not good when it comes to calling offensive plays. We've seen it, and it's a weird marriage to begin with. I mean, he's on the record saying he's not high on Baker Mayfield. That was like the 1 year he was in between jobs. I think he was doing media stuff. Not a healthy situation for Carolina.
No, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in I thought Mayfield was going to have this. I liked him. I think it was I forget what year it was. Was his rookie year?
He was great his rookie year. He set the record for touchdowns.
Right. Where it was, I was great to him. Like, this guy's everything you want. Like, once again, he wasn't going to be the top tier, but he looked every bit as the toughness, the accuracy, getting rid of the ball. I don't see it anymore now. I just see guys working hard to make catches. They're sloppy. They were sloppy, Carolina, today. Fumbles. It wasn't all Mayfield. I don't want to, I'm just telling you, Tyler, with Darnold, and I don't think Darnold's good enough. But I could put 10 plays together of him that you'd think he's the best quarterback in the NFL. Throws that only Mahomes and Josh Allen make. I promise you. And Stafford, I promise you. He has that in him.
How much have you had to drink tonight?
I said I could put the tape together. I'm not even making it up.
All right. Well, we might have to see that tape. We might have to put that tape out there because
I'd like to do. I'm gonna find. I think I'm gonna see it. Dan Orlovsky might have something on it. I'm gonna see if I can find it.
There was one clip I remember he had with the Jets that had me sold. Like, this whole Carolina thing could work out. It was, he evaded a rush. He shimmied around in the pocket. He feathered it over a DB on the sideline. It was beautiful. I remember thinking, I'm in. It was such a cluster, you know what, with the Jets. He had the mono. He had Gase. He had no weapons. It was a mess. And fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. However George Bush put it, I can't remember. I won't be fooled again. I won't be fooled again.
Well, you're right about that because I thought Darnold had a shot there. I thought Mayfield had a shot. Don't like how it looks. But McCaffrey was involved a little bit today.
Yeah.
They don't look, yeah. Still new quarterback, new offense for him. So let's see how it goes.
I'm not sure which game I want to end with. I think I know which game you want to end with, so I'm going to save it. Let's hit on this one. Arizona 29, Las Vegas 23. OT, insane game. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals are doing diddly poo offensively, to quote Jim Mora. Nothing. It's absolutely god awful. Was watching this one in the peripheral as well. And then Kyler Murray just turns it on in the fourth quarter, and you see why the Cardinals paid him all of that money. He's doing it with his legs, he's doing it with his arm. He just detonates. I mean, Jordan Hogan, one of the assistant coaches there, I thought he broke it down beautifully in the story we had up a few weeks back, where he just, that improvisation and that ability to just take over a game, you can't put a price on that. And you do kind of work that into your X's and O's in your offense. And I get your point on the rhythm and the fact that it's frustrating to watch Arizona. It sure was in that first half where they just can't get anything going with that pace. But when he's on, he can turn whatever it was, 23-0 or 20, whatever deficit. Mm-hmm. I mean, it can just vanish. Like, there's not many quarterbacks in the game who can just flip a game on its head like he did on the road against the Raiders. They get to overtime. Hunter Renfrow fumbles. Byron Murphy picks it up. Touchdown. Crazy finish.
I think that's a bad loss for the Raiders.
Devontae Adams, 2 catches for 12 yards, by the way.
Yeah, I would think that's shaky start for the Raiders.
I mean, they're 0-2. It's so funny. We spend the whole offseason drooling over the AFC West and all these pass rushers and quarterbacks and receivers and this arm. Like, then you look up and the Raiders are 0-2, and our final game of the day to break down, the Denver Broncos. They won, Jim. They won. They did win 16-9 against Houston, but yikes. Difficult
Wow.
game to view.
I did get to see some of that on Red Zone. I saw enough that I don't know.
I bring this up last because I liked your breakdown of Nathaniel Hackett, and he's getting killed right now. I want to ask you: is it justified, or is this a young, smart, innovative coach finding his way, or is he in over his head? Which is it?
I think with time management, I think it can come across as in over your head, which I wouldn't have thought. I didn't think he would be in over his head necessarily, because he's been around football his whole life. This is what he's wanted his whole life. And just like McDermott, I could just remember during his interview and the book he had and the notes, and I could see how far back those were from. And whatever, that can be for show sometimes too. I'm not saying that's what sold everybody, but his passion was real. I mean, it was, whether or not he's a great head coach or not, he wanted to be a head coach and prepared to be a head coach. And situational football to me was one of the important things you do in an interview. But point being is, it can't come up. Yes, it comes across as you're in over your head. And we've talked about being a great coordinator doesn't make you a head coach.
To your point, there was a sequence in the third quarter on 3rd and inches, really. I believe they had a tight end run the football, right? It was a little mini toss to the tight end. He bounces wide. Then it becomes a long field goal attempt. And then it becomes a punt. Just not thinking 2-3 moves ahead. It was odd. So I don't know. I'm not out on him yet. I feel like Russell Wilson are going to figure something out. No, I'm not saying you are either.
Oh yeah, no, because I'm with you.
He's getting killed right now, though. I mean, nobody's getting mocked more in the NFL than Nathaniel Hackett today.
I don't know how great
tight end option play.
That offense, the time management is one thing. The offense, they look like everything looks hard for the offense right now. Like everything looks hard.
It's a good way to put it. Yeah. Play to play.
It's no like rhythm flow to it. Okay, here's the twist. Seattle trades Drew Lock back to Denver for Russell.
Maybe they just signed Sam. Maybe they trade for Sam Darnold and he fixes everything.
I should never have said that.
I'm not gonna let it go. I'm going
to send you the clips, and I think he is better.
Well, you're actually bringing some takes here late in the pod. I'm on fumes and I'm getting back to my story after this. Good. So, no, I'm saying that I shouldn't be mocking you. I should be supplying a take of my own, but don't have anything in the oven yet. So we'll have to come back stronger Tuesday, I think.
I can't wait for Tuesday either because I haven't been to Fatty yet, so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, it's a beautiful establishment. We'll figure out a time. You tell me, we'll make it happen.
Make it happen.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening.